Renee DiVincenzo here, and I am so excited for this month's Showcase Your Biz. As you know, we are meeting Tiffany Rufino, and I am just so delighted that she wanted to be a guest of mine so we can learn a little bit more about her and her business. And before we do, I should say, I'm just going to introduce myself and what it is that I do as a business strategist. I'm the owner of MGR Administrating Services, and I have been an entrepreneur for over 11 years. I can't believe it. Time just like flies by when you're having fun as a business owner. And the areas that I work with my clients is that I specialize in promoting business growth as well as business organizational solutions to help you as the business owner to have more productivity and to be more efficient in your business so you could reach your goals and get to where you want to be, especially as we are soon coming to a close at the end of the year. And before you know it, we're going to be setting our goals for 2024. But as I want to get on with our guest today, I am just so excited to introduce to you Tiffany Rufino. And I do have some notes here, so I will be looking down, and I want to make sure I don't miss anything about Tiffany.
But yeah, I should take notes too.
Yeah. That's the point. I got everything all highlighted here, so we don't want to miss anything. But Tiffany is a passionate entrepreneur and business coach with the background of business and organizational leadership in marketing, as well as industrial organizational psychology. Am I saying that correct? Psychology?
Yeah. You're good.
Okay. Tiffany also has a proven track record of developing successful strategies for all types of businesses. And she also has a knack of understanding the needs of her clients by developing creative solutions to their needs and what they need in their business, and also too in their personal life. You may not know that Tiffany is also an experienced public speaker. She has spoken at national conferences, at events, while she also records her weekly podcast, Great to Greater with Tiffany Rufino. Her ultimate goal is to help entrepreneurs and owners, corporations, I'm going to say cooperations.
All the things, yeah.
And leaders to take business from great to greater. So Tiffany, welcome. I'm going to tell a little story about Tiffany and how I met her. First of all, look at Tiffany. I mean, when I first saw Tiffany, I'm like, oh my gosh, she reminds me of Pink, right? I know she probably hears this a lot. But Tiffany had joined my private group called Simplify Your Business Administration, which I'll kind of go into a little bit towards the end. And when I looked at her, I was like, wow, and she was having an event here in Palm Coast called Great to Greater, which she's going to be talking about. And something told me inside, I'm like, you know what? I really got to meet her. And I know it was a Saturday event and stuff. And it was right around here, around the corner. I'm like, I'm going to hop in. Well, when I went in, not knowing anyone, Tiffany greeted me like we were best friends. And we just like hit it off. We had an awesome time speaking. We became great friends, and she has helped me so much in my business, which I'll share with you as we are speaking. So Tiffany, how are you today?
I am great, and I see that Diane is on, so she shouted us out and said, hello, Diane English. So hi, good morning.
How did you see that? Oh, there it is. I looked on it. Hey, Diane. Now, Diane is from Texas, and it's hey y'all, how y'all doing over there? And hope the weather is great. We're going to have a lot of fun today, Diane. So, as this is going on. So go ahead, Tiffany, tell us a little bit about you, about yourself. How'd you get started, and what it is that makes you so awesome?
Oh, I think you could probably answer that last question. Well, I'm from New York originally, as most Floridians are at some part of the northeastern part, and we come down here for the heat. I have 25 plus years of leadership experience, mostly where positions thankfully have been created for me rather than me fitting into a position, which just helped with my creative problem solving and thinking outside the box. Based on having to create roles and help with clients and a lot of team building and relationship building. And, when I moved down to Florida, I transferred with the company that I was with in New York, which I was thankful for at the time. And then, it was a lot of retail, a lot of corporations, made a life change. Went into doing hair for a while. I wasn't behind the chair for a long period of time because I moved into leadership and had great opportunities there for almost 10 years. Had a lot of great mentors and a lot of great experiences. And I found out that doing hair was cheaper than going to school to be a psychologist. I always told my team, hey, we're PhDs, we're professional hairdressers, but we're also those chemists, those scientists, the counselors, the psychiatrists, the best friend, like everything that you need for your guests. And I think that just continued to grow my passion for sociology and psychology, which I had when I was in high school. I took those extra curriculum classes and just didn't apply them at the time. I was young, immature in high school, and just didn't know what my path was. And if I did, I just didn't follow it. And, after COVID and after a change of careers, I needed to take a break. And that's where the podcast really came about, because I had the time, right? We were all home. And I still feel like I needed a community to be a part of, and I wanted to communicate. And I thought, what do people need most at this time? And I think it was not necessarily confidence, but more inspiration and motivation and faith over fear, as our friend Diddy would say, in getting through being quarantined and then returning to work. And so the topic started around that, and kind of leading leaders in how do you get your team engaged and on board and not afraid, and how do you also have patience for those who are. And then I realized I started to get burned out, because I don't think I really took a chance to rest for myself and reset and think about what my goals were for the future and what my journey was going to look like after quarantine. And so I took a little break, but at the same time, I was in college full time. I had started college again after high school, not knowing what I wanted to do. I was driven to work, but not driven to stay in a class. If I can make money, I'd rather do that. That was just my thing. And so while I had the time and the opportunity, I went to school and I quickly accelerated classes. I achieved my associates and then went on to my bachelor's. And then I continued on to my master's, which I have about 3 more classes, and then I'll have my master's in industrial organizational psychology. Yeah. I know, I'm excited, but
I'm ready for that. I'm lucky I got through high school and got my hairdressing license. So rah-rah to that.
It took a lot. I mean, thank goodness for my husband, because I went back to the days of when I used to have my parents help me with my homework, and math is not my forte in the way that it's explained. And so he would sit down with me at the table, and I'm like, I just don't get why letters are numbers. It doesn't make sense. And we'd have talks till midnight, and he's like, relax, it's math. And so then, finally started to get into a groove and find my individuality without being associated with another business. And it's not a bad thing that I say that. It's just, when I give my all, I'm very loyal to the company that I've been with. The companies that I was with, I stay with them for long periods of time, and I like to grow with them, and I build teams and relationships. And so I don't want to break those, right? And after a while of not being associated with an organization or feeling passionate about an organization that I was a part of, even for the short periods of time, I thought it's time for me to do something on my own. Like, what does that look like? And I thought, well, I love people and I love business, and, psychology and sociology is still there. You look at my bookshelf and there's tons of books on people and just living life and doing things. And I found that there was an area for that, and industrial organizational psychology is kind of like a new venture for a degree and also for a career. And the industrial part deals with the back end of the business, mostly like strategies for human resources, for organizational change, for leadership. And then the organizational part is all about the people piece. And, I'm definitely an employee advocate, and I wanted to see how we could kind of balance out people that are still working from home and the people that want to return to the office, and bridge that gap, and how do we compromise and make things happen? And then I thought, okay, so I have the podcast and we revamped it. And I said, I want to be in front of people again. I need that connection. I need to see people and feel the vibe, feel the energy, like what's going out and on in the world. And so I told my husband last year, I think it was probably the end of August, I said, I want to do a TED talk. But then I looked into all the paperwork and the red tape and everything that you have to go through. And I was like, I don't need TED. I don't even know what TED looks like. I'm going to do this on my own. And he said, okay. So by the end of September, I think it was the end of October, I had the venue, I had the speakers, I had all the vendors that were going to be there. And then I was able to start advertising for attendees to come ahead and attend. And that's where, you and I met in January when we went through it.
So if you don't mind, I just have a question.
Yeah, no,
so we back up to like one, how you started to do these events, but you had said something about the back end of how we all think in business, right?
Mm-hmm.
The industrial part. Am I saying that part
Right,
correct?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you go into that back, I will say our back office in our mind, right? I mean, I think that's kind of fair to say. When you developed into this, what made you lead yourself to even think of something like this when it comes to businesses?
A big part of it was that I wanted to help. I've always wanted to help. I've always wanted to lead. I love training and development.
Mhm.
And I thought about going the clinical route for psychology, but it's too much on my heart. I tend to take it home with me. And I knew that mentally and emotionally, I could not be in a position to see people hurting in such a strong way and be responsible for those things day in and day out. Like that just wasn't my role. But when I put people together with business, it was easier for me to walk in and be able to see what was going on. It's just, I think of Good Will Hunting, where like Matt Damon looks at a board of math and he's just able to see where everything's supposed to go. And it was kind of like that for me with people. And I had someone reach out to me and ask, hey, I see everything that you've been doing, and would you be interested in being a consultant for our organization, a big organization? And I said, absolutely. Yeah, let's talk. And so we spoke, and I thought this was me like putting my toes in the water to see if this is going to be a journey, right? And I had somebody that trusted me and I trusted them. And so it ended up extending month after month after month because we were doing such great things. And I just felt at home. That's the best way I could say it. It was like I was able to go in and travel and train people and work with them and change mindsets and coach to them and see the light bulbs go off. And for me, that's so much more of a rewarding experience versus someone buying a coaching booklet and then going off with it and doing their own thing. Like being able to see the reward right in front of me with the expressions on the face, the ahas, and hearing later that I did what you said, or I tried what we worked on and it's working, thank you, let's continue. That sort of thing is what gets me amped up.
So the reason why I asked this question is because I remember Tiffany, for those of you who don't know, Tiffany and I work together. Tiffany has helped me out immensely on my way of thinking and my back office brain. And I remember there was a time we were working together and I was sharing with you programs that I've taken and like these different courses. And I remember you saying to me, what are you searching for? Do you remember that?
I do.
You say that. And I got stumped and I'm like, I don't know, like, what am I searching? And the best advice you gave me is, like, yeah, we learn from different things, but you need to make it your own, right?
Yeah.
Remember you were saying that to me. So when you're working with your clients in this manner, what is it that you're finding? Like to me, like it was, I'm going through these courses and trying to understand how to, do things the right way. And you had said, be yourself, don't be someone else. Remember?
Yeah.
So when you work with a number of people, what are some of the areas that you're finding when it comes to a person's mindset? Like a lot of times it's always, like just just trying to figure it out. Meanwhile, they say the grass is greener in your own backyard, right? You know, they're
Right.
just right there. So what do you find when you're working with your clients when it comes
Well,
to
one thing I just discovered is that I say a lot of great things. So thank you for reminding me of our conversation. I'm like, wow, I sounded really good there. But it's true. It's true. And I think it comes from me understanding and having empathy of where that person's at in their journey, because there's a point of or a part of my life where I may not be on the same journey, but I've mirrored a similar journey, right? Where I
Mhm,
was searching for either a mentor or a speaker, you know, like the big names like Tony Robbins or Gary Vee or Mel Robbins or Brene Brown. And I,
mhm,
I was searching for something from them. And then I realized I was incorporating that into what I would say when I was speaking, you know, when I was doing commencement speeches or I was doing trainings. And while I agreed with what they said, I was like, I already know this in my heart. I know this in my mind. And I kind of have to decide who I am as an individual without those influences. Those
mhm.
people got me through periods of time where I needed them. You know, Gary Vee, when I was listening to him, he has this approach where it was constant like yelling and cursing and that sort of thing. And I'm like, yeah, I needed that energy. Like, put me in my place. It's the fun. And then I realized, well, no, like what does the person in front of me need and who can I be for them in that moment? And that's where I realized for me to be most effective, it has to be customized and I have to listen to what they're not saying. And most of what I have found, which might put me out of a job, is that everybody already knows the answer. They need
Mhm.
someone to validate it.
Yeah.
And then the other piece is that they just kind of need like that cheerleader right next to them. Not that their partner isn't doing it, not that their friends aren't doing it, but somebody that maybe they just met or you know, is outside of the situation, doesn't know the whole story, can see the future a little clearer than they can right now because they're stuck in a spot. But the person next to them that's their business therapist can guide them along and not do it for them and not always give the answers, but help them with how they're thinking and what words they're using in their thought process, which is where the NLP or neuro linguistic programming comes in that, well, maybe we don't use that word when we talk about it. Let's use this word instead. And it changes the approach and it changes the mindset on how people think about what they're doing and what their goal is and the behaviors that they have to do that they may not want to. You know, not everybody is great at like the admin stuff and the business strategies like you are. And so
Mhm.
they think I'll hire Renee to do everything and then I never have to worry about it. And you know, you would get it done and you would do an amazing job, but at the end of the day, they're the entrepreneur, they're the ones that own the business. So if they don't know how things work, or if they haven't at least seen it done once, then they can't train, you know, a new hire to do all those processes or to understand the back end of the business. Like even with finances, you know, they're intimidating, but
Mhm.
if you don't understand how your accountant has added things up or how they came to the numbers that they have, you could get bamboozled very quickly. And so, you know, it's just about creating awareness, but also hearing what people aren't saying and getting to the root cause of that, because if you never do, they're always going to repeat the same behavior. And so it may be great for 2 to 3 months. And then all of a sudden it's back to, I hate doing this part of it. I'm going to hire somebody else, or I'm going to join another group, or I'm going to, you know, buy another training program, or I'm going to get preset like templates that say it for me. And it never really becomes part of who they are, which is why it doesn't feel real and it doesn't feel like their passion. And they start causing distractions and procrastinating because it's not them.
That's what I was just going to bring into procrastination. And it's about knowing what you have to do, but it's really basically doing it. It's like losing weight, right? We want to lose weight. We know what we have to do, but you know what? That apple pie is still sitting on the counter and I'll start doing it tomorrow, right? So
Mhm.
when you're finding people in this procrastination situation, like the one thing I know I found, well, I always say to others, if you want to work with Tiffany, be careful. I mean, it's great. You know, she's going to hold that mirror up and you're going to have to face everything. And that's the one thing
With love,
working
always with love.
love, it's with love, facing the fear, right? You know,
Yeah.
it's like, what's holding you back? And for those of you that know me or may not know me, is that in the beginning of the year, I was diagnosed with PTSD. I had no idea what was going on with me. again, not to get much into my story, it was just due to, you know, if you watch my last Friday 5-minute live, sharing like with some trauma that I've been through and all that, I just totally couldn't, you know, perform. And when I met, and that's why I said I had to meet Tiffany, and Tiffany has helped me to get out of this, I'm going to say maybe roadblock, or help me to say, you know, really basically it was, you helped me to say, really, so who cares what people think? I guess that was like the one thing that stuck in my mind, you know, and you have to do what you have to do for yourself, right? On that. So I think too is that you help people, you're their rock. Like I always say, you're my rock. You know, you help me to, that I know if I got something going on, I'm calling Tiffany or I'm texting Tiffany, like, oh my God, you know. But in any event, when it comes to this procrastination, how do you help people to get through that, to stop, to say, hey, you know, do you want this or don't you want this? What do you do?
I think it depends on what it is that they're procrastinating against.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, like a lot of people already have the answer, and there's a lot of honesty that comes from creating a safe place. And I think with you and I, and you opening up, it was outside of the restaurant we were in, and it was like at night. And I think it was like our third conversation talking, but you
Yeah.
shared a majority of it, and it was such a release for you. But creating that safe place where people can feel that like I could be open and honest and know that the person that I'm talking with is going to protect my information and help guide me through it however they can. And I always remind people, I'm not a clinical psychologist. I just play one on TV, but I'm pretty good at it, you know. um, the procrastination part, yes, Leanne said it, when you are ready the teacher appears, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's that point of collision where maybe you didn't realize you were ready and the teacher appeared and that made you ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to be that for people, but it depends on what the procrastination is. Is it, you know, just because you don't like to do tedious work? Is it because you're unfamiliar with the process, or is it because you don't believe in yourself? And so that's where you get down to the root cause of what's stopping you. Or maybe it's just, this isn't really what you were meant to do and you're still searching for that. And this is your passion project in the meantime. And
Right.
I've had that conversation with people where it's been like really honest and open. And I always ask permission for it. You know, can I just say what's on my mind and not sugarcoat it? Or do you prefer that I sugarcoat things and beat around the bush? I've said that's people too.
Yeah.
And usually when they hear that those are the choices, they're like, nope, just give it to me direct. And I'll say, this isn't meant for you. This isn't your journey. I don't see this for you.
Right.
And a lot of people will get shocked because the point of hiring me was to help advance that business. And, you know, I say, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to dismantle or break down what you have. You have a really good idea, but maybe for somebody else. And
Yeah.
so then we go into, what are you passionate about? What we mind map it. We lay it all out and we go from, what does your ideal life look like, right? Almost like a vision board, but more details than that.
Yeah.
And when you put all those characteristics of things together and you personalize it for that person, you realize, okay, so you want to work from home. You don't want to deal with people. You don't want to be a boss of people. You want to work for yourself during your own hours. So what kind of positions are available that could do that for you? You're more analytical than you are in relationship building and giving direction and delegating. So maybe it's project management, and maybe you go into that for other businesses, but you work by yourself. And so you get hired out as a consultant. This way you don't have to worry about having a boss and you live your best life, right? So
Yes.
sometimes I just see things differently than, and other people may not have even realized that that was an opportunity or even a possibility. And then I let them take it from there. And I always say, don't make a rash decision, you know, right now. Sleep on it for like 24, 48 hours. Give me a call. Tell me how you're feeling about our conversation. I never want to open a wound and leave it open and not close it at the end of the session with somebody. That's not fair to them. And I don't feel right that way. So, you know, having a conversation like that, I'm always following up and checking on people. I think I've done that with you. Like, hey, are you okay after today? You know, how are you feeling? What's going on in your mind? Do you still need space? And you go from there. And honestly, it's just about being empathetic and being an active listener, and just saying what's on your mind in that moment, in that conversation.
So I totally agree. And I have to say, ladies, thank you for being on here. And I'm saying, how on earth is Tiffany seeing their names? I'm like, and meanwhile, I was on a starred program. And when I went back to live, I'm like, oh, there's everybody. Hello. So, for those that are on, please ask any questions
Hi,
for
everybody.
Tiffany. Hey, on what it is that maybe, or you know what, you could even be reaching out to Tiffany with some of that information. Because I will tell you that some of the areas that you have hit on today is why I am where I am today. And I say thank you. You have no idea, because that fear and that procrastination, and especially when you're a solo entrepreneur, it's usually you, right? Like I always say, what are you going to do? Do that Jim Carrey movie, beat yourself up in the bathroom? But it's not going to get you anywhere, right? Liar, liar, right? Liar, liar. So I have to say that when you have a person you can trust, as I trust with you, and working with you, I know that no matter you know what it is too with your and what you do for others is, like you said, you make them really look at themselves. And that's really what I appreciate, is that you make me see where I am, what I'm doing. And the one thing that you shared with me is, don't be afraid, to talk about who you are and where you're going and what you're doing, and what you want to do with that. And when you go into your podcast, which I would love for you to talk about with your podcast, for those of you, and I think I have here too, I have to go back to my STAR program to listen to Tiffany's podcasts, and what it is that, and how are the things that you share. So tell us a little bit about your podcasts.
Sure. So I would skip season 1 and 2 because we're still figuring out.
Hey, no. That's good, because we all look at everybody who we think are experts, but we all started the same way. So that's okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, go ahead, listen to how it was and where it's gone from great to greater. Really the formatting right now, and we're evolving also, because we'll be doing StreamYards and posting them. So now we'll have video, and the Sunday is where we're recording, and then Tuesday it posts. So that'll be our first video included podcast, which I'm super excited about. But really, I started to go into what's headlining in the news, what's trending on topics. We talk about the situation and theory behind it, really just giving facts. Maybe I think one of our most recent ones was about bullying in school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was like a lot of scenarios where everything was happening at once, or at least the news was reporting it all happening at once. And so we talked about a specific situation. We talked about the way that it was handled, and everything that went wrong. And then we have a conversation about how it should have been handled, or just a different opportunity, so that leaders can see, well, yeah, I understand why they handled it that way. But then when you hear somebody outside the situation explain why that wasn't the best choice, what could have been done to make it a better situation for everybody, and the psychology behind it, and the aftermath and the ripple effect of, had they done it this way, maybe this would have happened and everything could have been done differently. And we did that with the Balenciaga story, where they posted their clothing, and they had like a little toddler in inappropriate clothing, and the blame game started, and they blamed the photographer. Well, the photographer is only taking direction from the creative director, who took direction from, the person that's running the company. And it was all jumbled when the world is, spewing all venom about the company, and nobody is treating it, nobody's addressing it. And then it came out in like a short post online. And so, I love going into the public relations part of it, because that's the sociology piece that I love too. And how do you communicate effectively to your customers, and also help save your brand? So that's how our podcast works. My husband is on it with me, so we play off each other very well, and kind of have different thoughts, but same thoughts at the same time, and kind of just evolve on the topic. And usually our podcasts are about an hour. Sometimes we go over, sometimes we go under, depends on what's going on.
So now your podcasts are, I got to go back to my start, is on your website?
Yes, we also post them on my website, but they're available on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google, iHeartRadio, on anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. We're there.
You're there on that. So I do want to share that Tiffany, as a business therapist, as I shared, she is just not your typical mentor. She is one, as she had shared her story with you of what she does, helping with clients and how she helps you to get out of really basically your own way. And we could be stuck in the mud, and it's just trying to lift that foot and then move it forward. And because of Tiffany is why you all will see my Wednesday lives that I now do. I've been doing it since December, started
Mhm.
getting my feet wet with it, but Tiffany has helped me to move forward in advancing on how others can learn a little bit more about me, about my business, which I know she could do for you as well. If you were truly wanting to stop the remember that commercial, Stop the Insanity? What was that called? Was that a commercial that said Stop the Insanity?
I feel like that was a as seen on TV product for some reason.
Something like Stop the Craziness.
Yeah.
If you want to take structure and you want to have a control of what it is that you do and how it is you want your business to grow, you really should reach out and speak with Tiffany for a consultation, do a one-on-one. She will, I know I don't have it here in her Zoom, in this link, but all of this will be posted where you can actually have a conversation about yourself, your business, and not be judged. That's the one thing we never want. That's, the one thing that we want that person to see us for who we are. And I find with Tiffany and working with Tiffany, that is exactly what she has given me. That is why on Fridays at 3:30, I can end my day and I can do my 5-minute lives, especially when there's no internet around, right? How many times have we, how many
And it
times have
still
we wanted
works.
to? It's like, all right.
it. But what I love about it is that with working with Renee, she was brave enough and open-minded enough to try something new, even if she was unsure of herself. She knew she had somebody there cheering her on and not setting her up for failure, always setting her up for success, and not putting her in a position to feel extremely vulnerable, but in a position where we can do this step by step so that people get to know you and your journey and why they need you and what information do you have that you can share, because people buy into you, not necessarily always the product that comes later, but they want to know about you, they want to relate to you, and they want to follow you, and they want you to be that mentor in those areas. And I love being that for people. And whenever somebody calls me and says, oh my gosh, I got this, or I got one more extra person in my Facebook group, or I got a new client, or I got this, oh my gosh, I'm in tears at the end of the night because I'm like, it worked, and maybe that's a little bit of imposter syndrome that I have, of that self-awareness. And I get that, because you're always like, I want to do best for people, but this is something that's just coming straight from me, from the heart, and it's customized for the person that I'm with. And, I know that it's going to work, but they have to put the work into, and that's the only way that you're going to get great results. And Renee, I think it was like 2 weeks after I worked with you, you had results instantly, and we were both excited about it. And we're like, when's the next one?
Well,
we're planning into like May and June now of all the
I
great.
know, I'm already into that.
Exciting.
Well, the one thing that you helped me to see is that before you can earn money from your business, people have to know who you are, right? They have to feel comfortable with you. So between my workshops or my ebooks, right, that I'm promoting and I'm working on. And even in the fall, we're working on putting my business strategy 4-week program together.
Mhm.
You helped me to understand that stop looking at the dollar signs. It's people want to know who you are. So my question to you is, and I know we're going over a little bit, 30 minutes, but this has just been such a
great conversation.
this has been such a great conversation. How do you help people to overcome the fear of going live on Facebook or social media? Because it's like you said, people have to know you before they will buy from you.
Sure. So I think part of it is comparing the fears. Is
Mhm.
the fear, finding out what the fear is the fear of appearance? Is it a fear of worrying if you spit when you talk, or if you're sorry?
or the glare.
Right, you're not knowing what to say, or worried about how you look, or is it fear of if the information is correct, or how people will receive you, or if anybody will watch. You got to identify that first and really dig deep to find out what that is and where that came from. And practice, practice. It'll be role playing with me and practicing, and then saying, hey, you survived, so okay, that fear is now locked because you know that nothing else is going to happen to you. And then I have to walk the walk and talk the talk too, right? So I have done lives on my Facebook. I've posted on TikTok. I've posted on Instagram. I've done long periods of lives where I'm giving classes or giving information about my business. But really, I think it's just making the person feel comfortable and realizing, so what? The audience that is meant for you to reach, you'll reach. And the audience that isn't meant for you at that time, that's okay. And usually you're not going to find out about the ones that you weren't meant to reach. You're going to hear from the ones that you were meant to reach. And are you more afraid of not getting clients, or are you more afraid of how you're going to look?
Exactly. Bingo. That's the dollar sign. That's how we look.
Yeah. And I think you just have to compare your fears. Is your fear of not going live, even though that's what's going to get you to the point that you want to be at, greater than your fear of not being successful in your business in your mind?
Right. So, one thing I'm going to share with all of you that are watching live, or who's going to be watching the replay, since I've been working with Tiffany, and doing these 5-minute lives and doing these weekly lives, I have been at networking events. If I'm handing out my card or whatever it is, or I think I was promoting my roadmap or my boot camp, I had people come to me like, oh, I know you. And I'm looking at them like, oh, okay, great. And I'm smiling, oh, okay, great. Like, where the heck did I meet this person? But they saw me on Facebook, or whatever social
Grocery
media.
shopping is different now.
Yeah, it is. And so the way, and now, more people are joining my private group, my Simplify Your Business. They are just wanting to connect with me. And that is the part of growth, right? So getting that fear of, go on the camera, it's scary, believe me. And let me tell you something. This was the first time, and I think Tiffany knows it, the first time ever I truly announced that I had PTSD. I never wanted to share the actual word on that, is because of, what are people going to think, right? And it took me a few months, right, Tiffany? I mean, today's what?
No, I think you came around a lot quicker than you think you did. And I think,
but I never said it. I never really said it publicly, like I'm saying it now, because I'm okay with it. I got through it. I worked through it. I had Tiffany, who was my rock to help me through my feelings, my emotions, because no matter where you are in life, no matter what you want to do, your personal is always going to be your priority, because then it will lead into your business. Am I correct with that, Tiffany? Would you say that?
I would agree. And I think that, with PTSD, with anxiety, or with depression, or with whatever mental health situations are going on, when working with a client, I definitely, empathy is there, but also changing the mindset of getting out of your head and saying, but look where you are after recognizing that and identifying it. And it's always going to be something that you work with and work on, and it's a part of you. But think about the message of having that out there, and how many people need to hear that so they could identify it too. And you can change just one person's life because you were willing to share, and now they have an idea of, oh, that's what it is that I'm going through. This is what I need to do. And you never realize how much your message can impact others. Not that, that burden is always on somebody to do, but I think we're all given a gift in this world, whether it's a gift we wanted or a gift that we didn't want. And just hearing somebody be vulnerable about that message is something that can travel on. And again, I go back to the ripple effect. Like, that person that's listening is you a few months ago. And then, a couple of months later, they could be you now. And think of how great that is to have that journey and be able to say those words, and be able to say it each time more confidently, and, know that it's you, and you're still incredibly loved for who you are, more so now that we open up and we get to hear about you.
Yeah, thank you. I have to thank you. And I will tell you the reason why I said that is because you're here with me, even though you're not holding my hands.
I'm always on your shoulder, just like
on my shoulder. But I felt comfortable enough because I knew the day that I would be ready to say that. And I know I needed you with me to do that. And this gave me the perfect opportunity. And I feel great just knowing that. And I think that was always in the back of my mind, no matter what we do in our business, no matter what it is, where we are. And as you said, it's that journey. You're on this journey for a reason. And sometimes it's try to figure yourself out, right? It's also, it's going to make you stronger for who you are, right? And, during this time, as I shared with you, Tiffany, is that I was in a transition of now being a business strategist, which Tiffany told me this is what I'm more at as an admin strategist, due to the fact that I do so much more besides back office. And I think working with you, Tiffany, it's making me stronger each and every day. Like I said, I know you got my back, and I know you're here for me, not only as working relationship, but also as a friend relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just so excited that we had this opportunity to meet. And for those of you that are on, if you feel comfortable of, sharing any more last comments, because, Tiffany and I mean, believe me, the first time, I think it was like, we were just meeting for a one-on-one. We were in Dunkin' Donuts for like 2 hours. 2 hours. And I know this conversation could go on for 2 hours. So
we're like changing shifts. Like, yeah, don't worry about them.
It's like, want another cup of coffee? Come on, we can go.
Yeah, right. The coffee helps in the conversation. We're like, oh, and then this, and then this,
and then this, and then this. So, but I wanted to just share some links with you. So if anybody is posting, Tiffany, if you see it, I have to go to another column, so I'm not missing anything. So, Tiffany's. Did somebody want to say something? Oh, this has been a great conversation. Diane, thank you so much. And I know I've got Diane, and I've got we have this one too. I just posted. I don't know who the Facebook user is, but if you feel comfortable enough to type in your name, we'd love to know who you are. And I just want to share a few links for you all. They are going to be in the post of, when this goes out. But this is Tiffany's website. Take a look at her website, learn a little bit more about other areas. I mean, there's only so much we could share, really, for the time limit that we're on. And if you want to check out her Facebook page, just visit her on her Facebook page. Also, her Instagram. Tiffany posts all the time. So if you haven't friended her, friend her, because she has great inspirational comments, and I love looking at them, especially I think you did one with kids and moms. I forgot what it was.
Oh yeah, for every time your child says mom, they have to put $1 in the jar, and the woman said that she was up to 39 million, and it's only been an hour.
It is so true. Yeah, you got to laugh at things like that. If you're a LinkedIn user, you could check her out on LinkedIn, and again, her podcasts. So again, Tiffany is in our Facebook group, which is Simplify Your Business. If you aren't part of this group yet, you're watching the replay and you want to learn a little bit more about the private group, check us out. Tiffany's part of it. A number of you who have posted are part of it, Diane and Leanne. And if you want me to share your business, just be part of the Simplify Your Business Administration. Would love to promote you, what it is that you do, and for others to learn a little bit about you. And if you'd like to learn a little bit about myself, just check me out on mdracs.com. I will have more information about programs that I offer. You'll also get to see live testimonials of my clients that I have helped. And you'll be
on the podcast in a couple
of weeks. Yes, my God. When is that? May what now? We had to change the date.
Oh, I had to put it on.
I think it was the May.
That day. We'll put it on the website. We'll post it.
We'll put it on the website. I think it's the first Sunday in May.
That sounds right.
Yeah, right. May 7th, I think it
Sure.
is. So
Yes. We'll go
I'm
with
going to be on Tiffany's podcast. I'm so excited. So I'm going to be in the other position.
that. Mhm. Yep.
We're going to switch. So that's going to be kind of fun. So, but yeah, check me out on my website. And I just want to thank you all for joining us. Thank you for sharing your comments. They mean so much. They're so
Yeah.
helpful. And if those of you who want to connect with Tiffany, which I know Leanne, you had put on there, you could even message, they can message you, right? They can find
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. I have a business page on Facebook, but I also have my personal page, but it's open. And Leanne, I think we're connected. So definitely reach out and let's talk.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this interview today with Tiffany. Again, I want to thank you so much for being a part of us. And as I always say, oh, and don't forget to watch me today at 3:30. I have no idea where I'm going to go.
Live. Oh,
That's going to be my live. And actually,
wait, the other way.
I am going to be, what am I talking about, Tiffany, today? I am talking about, when do you refill your cup to avoid burnout? And hopefully, wherever I go, there's internet. If not, I'm going to be hopping back and forth. Whatever, that seems to be my life. So,
Duncan, we didn't have internet last time.
oh, yeah, that's right, we didn't. Oh my God, I tell you, this internet world. You know what? Real before I close, I was watching something on TV. It had to do back in the day about when the internet first came out, and it was on the Today Show with Katie Couric and that guy, another guy. It's like, who owns the internet, right? Like when it was starting coming out.
Yes.
Who owns it? I don't know who owns the internet. It's just, I don't know if people still think about that today, but I thought I'd throw that in there. So anyway, the sun is finally coming out here in Florida. So always remember, as I close, remember to smile, because when you smile, you will always feel good, feel great, and always be positive. Everyone have a great day. I will see you guys at 3:30 on my live. And don't forget to join me next Wednesday for my next business tip. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you, Tiffany, for being part of this today. Bye.
Bye.